Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the path.
I am a working man, I get things done. Work for the Holy Ghost, work for the Son. I am a working man, oh yes I am. I am a special agent of the Lamb. Now I'm gonna wear your covering, I'm gonna wear your robe, I'm gonna wear your righteous mane everywhere I go.
And you're listening to Live for the Path, coming from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper. Welcome to the program.
Do you know that when the Santa Claus, like back in the olden days when he was first Santa Claus, his catchphrase actually was ha ha ha, but then they had to change it because they felt like he was like laughing at people all the time?
Oh, man.
I had heard that, actually.
I haven't. I just thought of that right now.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, what a coinkydink. I told that same story. All right, you're listening to Live from the Path. Here's what we got going on the program tonight. So we had been, over the last, few months of the show, been trying to tell, more personal anecdotes and things. And the well will eventually run dry. We're not that interesting of people. And so we do got a couple of things that are going on in the world around you that we might get to, and then we'll give some advice and hopefully get you on your way. And so that's the goal of the program tonight. The first thing on the docket, so maybe first question for the room, had you guys read any books by Philip Yancey?
You know, I think I've put him on my list several times, and I've read quotes, but I don't know if I've ever sat down and actually read one of his whole books.
Yeah.
I'm never good with the popular book at the moment. I'm always like, eh. which tells you that's my whole life. It's kind of eh. So maybe I should be reading these guys, but.
Yeah, maybe a good question too is because I haven't read any of Philip Yancey's books either, and I'm sure we're going to get to the reason why Ben's asking that question. But
he needs a haircut.
Yeah, it's wild for sure. It's real New York looking.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, have you been guilty of idolizing is a strong word, but you know what I'm saying? Have you been guilty of maybe putting a preacher, teacher, musician, somebody up on a pedestal, and then when they fell, you're like, man, if he can't make it, what do I got? You know what I'm saying? What choices do I have? Are we just destined to screw this up?
Yeah. We asked the question on the show one time, this has probably been years ago, but it was hey, if you found out these people were deconstructing or no longer Christians, who would hit you real hard? Would you be like, oh, man? Because I think the trouble is if you see somebody and you're like, okay, they are seeing the world the same way I am following Jesus. The right balance of all the things that you need to keep in balance and consider about. And so when you see someone that looks like you, or you have a belief, a kinship that you think looks like you, and then they gave up on Jesus, you're like, man, am I being fooled? Am I on the road to whatever this behavior is, or am I just sad?
Yeah, and even take it out of the celebrity realm. What if it was your what if it was your dad?
Yeah,
you're the pastor you had growing up or whatever, and you're like, come on.
Yeah.
We're out here trying to fight the good fight, and the general that inspired you to breach the beaches at Normandy, and it turns out he's a turd, and you're like, come on,
Oh, totally. Dan, did somebody jump to mind?
No, what jumped in my mind was, I don't even remember who did this. When I was in my 20s or 30s, somebody preached a sermon, and it stuck with me about finishing well. And they must have given examples of some contemporaries that didn't finish well, you know, and that had strong faith, and all of a sudden it all blew up. And I remember, so since that time, I've always, there's been times it's consciously gone through my mind, man, you've got to finish well. Don't blow this. You have a certain reputation. You've kept your nose clean for, decades. I'm just not that guy out there doing wild stuff. And when the thought goes through my mind, hey, I should go do something wild, I go, nope, you're going to finish well, dude. And so, I don't know, somebody helped me there, but I remember when I was in junior high, Jim Baker, the PTO club, that all blew up.
Yep.
And I used to watch him. And as a kid, I was like, man, I just felt bad for him. You know, it didn't like destroy my faith or anything. I was just like, what an idiot. It's like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, like what a disappointment. Idiot was probably a strong word. What a disappointment.
Yeah.
I think the thing that frustrates me the most, and like this is a new age problem, right? Like, to start, I don't know that anyone was built for celebrity. Like, I know it seems like the thing that you want. You want the adulation from a lot, and you're like, I've learned to get thick skin for my critics, and I'm just going to be strong and confident in being me and all this stuff. And like, it sounds like it's from a position of strength. It is for sure not. And like, as much as like I hate like having this conversation with like budding musicians or like future sports stars or people who like want to be actors and stuff, like in the back of my mind I always think, look, I just don't think we're built for this. I don't know that it's good for you.
Well, like King Saul, King David. I mean, you can go right down the line scripturally. Yeah. We're just not.
Yeah.
We're just not.
And like who wants to be the ho-hum religious guy that goes, look, you don't want to be famous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all the money that they're said that they're promising and people loving you, like you should shy away from that. Like you sound like a church turd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A guy that'll be like, give up on your dreams. There's no fun in that, you know? And so like like in my heart, I don't ever want to like crush folks who are like trying to aspire to do the things, but like at the end of the day, I want you to do all those things and not be a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, because like maybe I could be very proved wrong. There's a couple people in Hollywood that they will speak and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that guy loves Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Just by what's coming out of their mouth. But like on the whole, you get to know what they want you to know. And like they paint a picture of who they are. And like you can be like, oh no, that's not them. They're great. There's 4 divorces behind all of them. All of them. Right? And I don't care which one you pick. All of them got that pain. Not that they're bad people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they've had to go through pain in their life inflicted by their choices of being a celebrity.
Yeah, you don't wish that on anybody.
No. And like some of that is part of being a fallen world, and some of that is not, like trusting Jesus with the way that he said the place was designed. And like, but it certainly didn't help it that like your whole goal in life was to get the attention of other people. Yep. Where like if I'm looking at like a marriage that I consider to be a safer place for you to be, I only want the attention of one person. My whole life. That's all I want. I want to have a relationship with Jesus that is my first and foremost. And then as far as the world's concerned, if I can make this one lady right here happy and that what her opinion matters to me, then that's it. That's all I'm concerned with, you know? Yeah. And like that, I don't have trails of divorce behind me because of that. You know what I'm saying?
My daughter, we used to, when she was in middle school or whatever, before that maybe, wanted to be like a rock star, like all kids, you know, like, oh yeah. And it's like, well, she had a pretty nice voice. I thought, you know, if you get the right training, get the right breaks, who knows? And so I had a lot of talks with her back then. It's like, that's back when, what's her name? Jessica Simpson. Yeah. You know, it was like falling apart. And I was like, yeah, her dad was a preacher. You know, I'd point out that stuff like, you know, it's not what you think it is. I think she started out in strong faith and now she's going crazy. And so I always tried to, you know, just like, think differently, you know, get involved with worship teams or something. But yeah, maybe the big star is not the way to go.
Yeah, I would be real, and so the reason I brought up Philip Yancey, he's has written many Christian books. I actually haven't read any of them either. Yeah, but I do recognize like reading quotes and stuff from him. I think helpful is for some reason
well respected.
I had a positive impression of whatever I'd read or taken in from him before. It turns out he had like a 7 or 8 year affair on his wife. He's older. He's like 70s, I think.
Like 80, isn't he? 78, 80, somewhere in there.
Yeah. But had like an extended affair on his wife. So like it's like for a good 7 or 8 years. And just came out over the last few months or something. And so I just would be so like, I'm so aware maybe of my own fallibility. And I even think about, I think we've said this before too, on the, like this, we've been talking in these microphones for 15 years or something. And like someone, if they put any effort into it at all, if I had said 10,000 faithful things that I tried to teach someone, and you gave an audience of which you showed all the clips and stuff in my life trying to serve Jesus as a pastor or just a dude, could you find a few things that I've said on this program that are offensive to the extent that someone would never listen to the other 10,000 things because they heard me say that one thing? Yes.
Yeah.
You totally could. Probably to my shame or to your sensitivity. Both are probably in play. But like in general, but here's what I know is that in the living rooms or in the sanctuary that Dan teaches in, like these are people who have heard Dan and Mike and I say something where you're like, I don't know about that. But they also heard the other things and they're like, yep. Fallible dude leading us who does love Jesus and doesn't always get it right. And like, so you can be a healthy, fallible follower of Jesus, being a pastor or a worship leader or a worship pastor or like a youth leader or whatever in these circumstances. Once you get to the place where people are judging only on your output, not holistically, they don't know you as a person, you don't look them in the eye, you don't hold their hand when they're weeping, like now you're being measured on a completely different thing, and I'm not up to snuff for it. I don't watch my words that well. I'm not as articulate as I would need to be. Like, it's just not a field of play. And like, what a waste that like you could say 10,000 great things and no one's going to listen to those 10,000 things because of the one thing that maybe you said, unclearly, or they just twisted to make you look like a turd or something like that. It's like, in my mind, I'm like, it's not worth it. It would not be worth it to me. Whenever I'm trying to buy off going down that route, it wouldn't be worth it to me to think that I would lose the good influence with 50 people because I was trying to get an influence with 5,000 or something like that,
Yeah.
I think the thing that drives me the most crazy is like you had to have rolled out the red carpet for this thing to go on as long as it did, right? People always act like this sin was like they were sins of opportunity or they just came over you. Like 8 years is a really long time. Yeah. And before even the first time, like you fed it, right? Like it didn't sneak up on you. You knew it was coming. You put yourself in a position where it could happen. And then you mowed the grass, you cleaned the curtains, you dusted off the chair, and you invited it in there. And like it happens to the best of us. As broken humans, this is what sin looks like, right? But like when folks try to, like, the 8-year thing gets me, and this, like I said, this is not labeling this dude like worse than anybody else, right? But like, it's the same thing that we talked about when some of the church abuse stuff comes up. Like, what's with all this lying about it, right? Like, if you sinned in this way, in any way, right? Like, this is no surprise. It's not a surprise to Jesus. It's not a surprise to the people that are in community with you, right? Like, we are sinful, broken people, and it does happen. But like, how you got past 6 months, 2 months, 1 month, like I don't know. Like, that's the part where I'm like, if there's one thing that I find to be super disingenuous to the way that the gospel works is not that you did the sin, right? It's that you covered it up for X amount of time. That's the thing that I'm like, I don't understand that. I get really, because I realize that like when it's exposed, it's shameful. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've done enough things in my life where I'm like, I wish that I did not have to tell someone I did this thing. That's pretty bad, And so like, I understand like there being a period of time where you are so fraught with the thing that you did that you're like, I don't want to tell anybody. This is terrible, but like, I don't know how it gets there. I don't know what's a time period in my mind that makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? But like a year? A year you pulled this off, like wrestling with this thing all while espousing the gospel, and saying all these great things like that. Like, I just don't know. It feels like the Holy Spirit was just thrashing your insides and you at a raw power just decided to continue on. I just don't know how it could be done.
That's my struggle with it too, that I have a lot of grace for people. I mean, people make mistakes. We are fallible people. We err, and sometimes we slip, sometimes we fall, sometimes we intentionally do things. But yeah, for years, that's not a slip. That's rebellion, right? That's I am ignoring what I know is true, and I'm living the way I want to anyway, while teaching people to not live that way. Yeah, I don't know how a preacher, a pastor, a writer, an author, a musician, whatever, who's representing Christ goes to bed each night on that long of a thing and is okay and is even able to sleep. And maybe I'm kind of harsh there, but I mean, I'm certainly not perfect. I'm not saying that.
But that's the weight of a faithful preacher, teacher, whatever. Anyway, right? You're like, if it doesn't occur to you that like you believe all the things in the Bible are true and that God is good, but like if it is not weighty to you that like, God, are you sure that you want to continue to use this broken vessel? You know what I did today, right? Like, you know where my mind went. You know the things that I entertained that I shouldn't have. You know that my anger got away from me. And like, I submit that all to the cross, but like, I'm going to go tell people about you tomorrow. Are you sure I'm the guy that you want to use for this thing?
Yeah,
And that's
I'm going to tell them to live faithfully in their marriage while not living faithfully in my marriage.
yeah. I just
Like,
I don't know. Like, and once again, like, don't hear us like black hat and the guy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
God's grace is amazing and like covers for sure. But like, it just feels like what I think the thing that I get exhausted with is the covering and the lies that you had to tell. Like, and that goes for church structure and like, especially with all the Catholic Church crap from years ago, or like every time someone has an infidel, they always get caught. They always get busted doing it. And no one's like just repenting of the thing off the crack. You know, and be like, man, this is eating me alive. You know,
Yeah.
like they're just holding on to it and burying it and acting like it's not a thing. It's like, man, I just don't know.
and I hope he's truly being repentant in his heart of hearts, and it's like it just hit him, like you said, and just like, man, I can't believe I let this go this long, and that's why he's confessing now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
But I mean, like, once again, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Like, I don't know this man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these are congregational and community like conversations to be having. And once again, like, I don't know. That's the thing is like, Paul's a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? He wrote books, you know? And so it's not like they're...
I mean, David's a celebrity. Like, he could barely have done anything worse than what he did.
Truth.
Yeah.
Like, that dude grabbed every possible trophy sent out there and been
Yeah.
like, yeah, I was part of something like that.
I actually saw someone talking about this, and there were some pastors and other leaders who were like, "Hey, we're burning Philip Yancey's books or whatever." I'm like, and the dude was like, "You got to burn the Psalms?"
right.
Which, like,
But there's still value in there.
yeah, and like, it's so interesting because if you were to chuck out all output created for the kingdom by fallible people who have sinned behind it, you would have nothing to read, write, or listen to. And so, like, I don't have that reaction at all. I don't think it's necessary. Like, his hypocrisy notwithstanding, it doesn't mean that actually there's not something good in it. In the same way that, like, some of the stuff that comes out of, depending on the location of the Hillsong Church, I'm like, well, some of these tunes are still good, actually.
Yeah.
And like, even if I think about, oh shoot, gosh, there was something else that was on my mind. I lost it. It wasn't his books. It was something else. But like, regardless, is that like, fallible humans produce. Well, take Jim Bakker. It still was formative. Like, there was still something about that helped form and shape Dan Hudson, who loves and serves Jesus.
I just eventually actually read the Bible and got doctrine, but he got me started.
Yeah, something pointed you there.
The old hymn, "It Is Well With My Soul," didn't that guy later on like walk away from the faith?
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Guys like Horatio Spafford, Martin Luther was a bit of an anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
I'm like, these are fallible people walking around, and like, it's interesting because like I'll get on a kick and like I just start like soaking in certain people, but like and we've talked about this I think before. Like, I could tell you key influences over time. Every one of those people, well, save one, has like let me down or like caused me to go, nah, I don't agree with that, actually. Like, I've never run into someone, there's an arrogance, I guess, on your own to go, well, they don't agree with me.
What's wrong with them?
Yeah, but like, you know, as you take in information from people and people who I really respect, almost all these people are smarter than me, and I'll listen to it, and then at some point I'll go, I actually don't think that part's right. Which is, in some ways, it's like, it's because I don't trust a human being. Like, why wouldn't they be fallible? Of course they would be. And so I think it's unnecessary. It's like a play. It's a fake outrage to go burning bugs. It's dumb. Just take from it what is good. But and maybe even the surprise. Maybe it's this, because we have got David as an example and a somewhat anti-Semitic Martin Luther and Horatio Spafford, and you're like,
And Paul,
And
or
Paul.
and Peter, who's siding with the circumcisers as a wuss.
Right. The guy who's willing to like take it to the world is a sissy when like the Judaizers show up, and you're like, oh, and the girl in the courtyard, and you're like, where is the surprise anymore? Like, I don't know why your heart should melt a little. There's probably a little bit of disappointment. And then you think to yourself, gosh, man, but for the grace of God go I, that really sucks. And now you've got something else to overcome where someone like amplification of your voice for Jesus brings the risk of your sinfulness becoming amplified in that same conversation. And so now we got to work around it again.
Yeah.
So like I sent a text to somebody earlier this week where I'm like, I can't help it. I see Jesus everywhere. Like I hear this song by like a 90s, like to early 2000s rock band, got nothing to do with Jesus, right? I hear it and I'm like, this reminds me of Paul going town to town. You know what I'm saying? And like I think if the same Holy Spirit that can take God's words inside of his Bible and convict me and show me things and open things up to my eyes, he does the exact same things with all kinds of life situations, right? Music that is secular. The song was about getting off drugs. That's what the song was about. And like all I heard was Paul like going preaching and teaching, like, we got to get freedom around here. Here's what we're going to do. You know, and I thought, like, I don't need that band to follow Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like the same people that are like, I only buy Christian, ethically sourced soap. Like, what's the matter with you? Like, I don't know where all this stuff comes from. You know what I'm saying? And it turns out the guy, like, he wrote Psalm 15 on his bar of soap, and he also beats his wife, and you don't know that. You saw him write Psalm 15 on the soap, and you're like, solid.
It's got to be good.
I was at a conference for like artists and we I don't know, just all kinds of like a Christian art thing, and like they often get the questions like, you know, is it okay to write like secular stories or something like that? And like I think the guy's response was something to the extent of like, have you ever met a secular tree? Like the world around you is created out of the hands of Jesus. Like, what are we talking about? All story, like there's not really a thing where like it's a secular story or a Christian story. Like creation is by the hand of Yahweh. Humans are created by God. These are all ultimately creator-driven stories. Now, I mean, don't write smut or something, but like you also don't need to be guilty that like, hey, I wrote a poem or a song about the peacefulness of the brook, but forgot to point it out to the redemptive power of Jesus Christ. So like, what are we doing? Like what?
I forgot the deer that came that was panting for the water.
That's right.
Right. Just like people feel awkward being like, hey, I really love my wife, but it wouldn't be possible without the redemptive work of Jesus on the cross. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think sometimes like we get real freaky about that stuff where we're like, if there's a difference in like driving your faith around, right? Or like driving a bus with your faith written on the side of it and being like, I have no dimension. I literally just like praise the name of Jesus all the time. And if any of your life problems are lost on me completely because I don't understand human interaction or stress or having to work for a living. I just know Christ crucified. And you're like, Paul, look, man, I'm just looking for any kind of hope that Jesus has talked to about life circumstances over the 1,000 pages we burned in the Lord's word. You're like, nope. Cross. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's really narrowing it down to a fake word. Like, people are like, I just don't even know if I can buy, because it's not good news to me. You know what I'm saying? The good news you're telling me, like, I'm having a hard time seeing where it fits into my life at all.
Yeah. I think some of the glamour of like these big popular authors was lost on me in the 90s when I started, and this is just in a very small world though, but I was in a little town and I was writing a weekly column for a newspaper, and I'd be like, man, this thing's due in 30 minutes. I forgot about that. And I'd sit down and, throw something out, 850 words. And then I did that for a while, and then they said, man, you should put that in the book. So I did this book, and like it sold all over the place in that little area. And I thought, man, the only difference between me and someone else, one, I'm not as smart and I'm not as good of a writer, not all that good of a storyteller, but you get a guy who's a little smarter and can write a little better and can tell stories better and has editors and marketers. Yeah. That's the only difference. Right. I sent stuff to New York and like to do like the newspapers all over, and the guy wrote back to me, man, I really like these. You need an agent, and I'm like, yeah. It's point being this guy, Yancey, is a guy who loves Jesus, And he wrote some books, and it took off.
Yep.
And it might have surprised him as much as anybody. But once you get one, then you get the power behind you and the marketing, and they get it going, and then he just starts selling them all over the place. And he's still human, and he's still fallible. I just wish it hadn't been an 8-year cycle.
Yeah. 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 All right. You're listening to Live from the Path. I guess, maybe you have some thoughts on that. I'd be curious. I think at the time, just to go to on the callback, it would be hard for me to hear that the Ren Collective dudes weren't following Jesus anymore. That would be tough for me. I wouldn't stop following Jesus or anything, but it would probably shake my world enough, because again, there's just so much. Or even in the Bible Project dudes, you took these two dudes, these groups of fellas, and if they said, we just don't believe it anymore, I'm like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
How could it possibly be you don't believe it anymore?
Who's the Mars? Rob Bell. I used to really love him.
Yep.
And I would listen to his stuff and I thought, this guy is so good. He's so deep. Then all of a sudden he just went crazy, and I'm like,
what happened?
didn't see that coming, Yeah. And there's guys like that out there. You just like, man.
I feel like mine would be like on the like biblical knowledge side. It would probably be the Bible Project guys, and then and Wes Huff. Recently, I just feel like that dude is, I don't know. I feel like he's got his stuff together. I'm
You
sure
were ripe for a younger apologist.
Yes,
and we got one.
And I feel like he's a good apologist. I listened to him on a podcast, and it was not a Jesus focused podcast. Like, there's just profanity everywhere, and they're talking about there was definitely some using the Lord's name in vain, and even painting God in pretty rough spots. And that dude just handled himself pretty well. I'm like, you know what? For a guy that is just trying to have that conversation with people who are on this level of their faith, I just thought he did such a great job. And Matt Maher, if I found out that Matt Maher had bailed on Jesus, I'd been like, man, I like his. There's a lot of his songs where I'm like, this is the right song for the time. Oh, yeah. And disproportionate to the rest of my music library, I'm like, this guy nailed it.
Yeah.
If I found out C.S. Lewis had this extra book no one had seen yet, never mind. I was like,
never mind.
No.
A book by C.S. Lewis.
Dude, C.S. Lewis would be a tough road.
That's a tough one.
That would be so hard. It would be so, and it's like, what's interesting is that, if I think about people where, take Rob Bell, or there have been musicians where they've gone off the rails. They went to their faith deconstructed, but there were some things. It's always so interesting, is because in some ways, oftentimes people that I've respected or that I've heard, and I thought they were able to. It's almost always a critique. It's almost like a prophet critique of where you've got us right. You found a way to name and describe with proper nuance that where we got things twisted. And there's something about that skill, because it's an exposure of the fallibilities of probably the church folks writ large, and maybe the hypocrisy of Christians, and where we are misunderstand Jesus in our political or economic culture. So I actually like that because it takes away a blindness. The problem is that people who seem to be able to do that well also can't seem to reconcile that they are part of that fallibility to a certain extent, and then they actually start becoming disenfranchised with Jesus for having found that people were unfaithfully representing him. And that, I've pretty consistently noticed that, where especially around where I think if there at times can be an unhealthy mix between conservative politics and Christianity when it comes to how you talk about people and think about them. Economic policy's got some differences to me, but sometimes I think what happens is that you think about how the systems should work most efficiently and without waste, and that has implications for people, and then somehow you stop talking about people like they're human beings made in the image and likeness of God. It's a risk. in it. Okay. And whatever. The other side has this different problem going the other direction, is that you talk about people and then don't actually care to help them or serve them. Like you just want them to care, to love you.
Yeah.
And
They're like a token in your war.
Yeah. So like whatever, they both have their problems, but like the people where like you'd find these like really well worded critiques that have that I think actually start to get God's heart for people right. And then all of a sudden it took 5 years and now people are your God. You know what I'm saying? It's so like it started off well, and then it didn't hit the boundary that Jesus is still Lord, and it became like a thing that I thought was right, and then got elevated above Jesus, and then was no longer right anymore. Not because the thought didn't start out well, but because you began serving it, probably because your celebrity came from it. It was the thing you said where people were like, boy, that really got that right and then you became known as that thing. You gave 30 talks a year for 5 years. You made $800,000, and now you're the guy that talks about that all the time. And now your living is based upon that particular talking point. It's no longer around the full counsel of Jesus.
Yeah.
And this is where the books become a problem, and like sermon series become a problem. Like you just get famous for a thing. Like, I want to hear that guy talk about this. And then you kind of lost control of your ability to teach a full gospel. And your money is tied to it, and your prominence is tied to it. And then you run the risk of serving it. Doesn't happen to everybody, but like I think that feels like the pattern that people hit.
I feel like it happens to like especially with the prevalence of like the Instagram preacher, you know, or like the 15-second snippet you get on Facebook or whatever, and you're like, man, I don't know, fellas. Like we talked about this a couple months ago, where I'm like, I just don't. It was when we were talking about that Holy Spirit guy again, and I'm like,
hey, is that guy paying you? Because you've said that Holy Spirit guy every show for the last 3 months. Do you get a quarter every time you mention his name?
I don't even know his name. I couldn't find him again if I wanted to. Like, but he's made such an impression on me that I'm like because he exposes a bunch of possibility and what I find to be a bunch of risk.
Yeah.
And so like I keep thinking, like he keeps popping in my head, because like what we talked about is like if should you even allow yourself to be on this platform knowing that like people should be weary of you, right? Like, you're not my pastor, you're not in my community. Like, you edited this video, it's put together in a way, you know, and it's got polish to it. None of these things are sinful or bad, you know, but at the end of the day, you're not here for any of my follow-up questions. You're not my pastor, you know, and so like, we can battle it out in the comments with the rest of the internet trolls, which you shut off because you found damaging to your emotional status. And so you're like, all people do is crap in the comments and whatever, and I'm not going to engage every keyboard warrior that wants to cause me trouble. Well, I mean, what about the people that like have an honest question, like, how does the Holy Spirit work or whatever? You know what I'm saying? And so like, what did you do then? Right? You did put out a little bit of teaching, but as far as the Bible lays it out, like teaching is like one aspect of the way in which the gospel is put out into the world. And like you skim coated the cream off the top and went like, this is the thing, you know? And like, I don't know. To me, though, it always feels like there's a responsibility that if you're going to introduce people to Jesus, right, you need to set up at least, like, you're on the hook for these folks. So, like, you either need to set up community or infrastructure to hold them and find a preacher, teacher, community that they can be a part of, or you're doing it until you get that set up, right? Like, and maybe that's not even biblical, right? But part of me just looks at it and goes, if you're going to be the guy, you're not a fly-by-night operation, right? Like, we have a communal setup in the way that God asks us to live. And like, if I'm going to preach or teach Jesus into your life, I feel like I'm responsible for you and to help and getting you into a community that's going to sustain you.
Sorry.
No, that's it.
I always heard that Billy Graham, when he came into town for his big crusades back in the day, that he had all these churches, local churches, lined up to receive people. If they all come forward, I want Jesus. Like, well, that's your next step. You got to be in community somewhere. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of cool with him.
That is cool. And like Billy Graham, like if you don't see him doing those types of things, he's an easy one to go, look, they brought 5,000 people in here. They got them all to come up and they just left him wet.
Yeah.
Or they left him saying a thing. But like, he did do more than that.
Yeah, he did. He did stuff behind the scene. There was a whole team.
Yeah. Paul, I mean, and we have every indication that like, I mean, Paul's not just going on a tour writing letters and like he's planting churches. John's planting churches. Philip's planting churches. Like these guys they're church planters, and that's the only reason, frankly, that we've got some of these letters. They're writing to places that they've planted.
Hey, Timothy, go back and check on Thessalonica. Yeah.
Tell them we did the thing with your penis, and they'll listen to you or whatever. Like I just remember he got circumcised. And so anyway, like it's just. I think it's a caution, but like also be careful not to overreact. Like I just don't. If this man or anybody that you ran into, like Mark Driscoll's got his fallibilities, he still said some things that were helpful to me. He's probably still saying some things that were today. I stopped listening to him for the most part. He's too gabby for my. But there's also guys who were like super influential to me 10 years ago, and I'll listen back to it now. I'm like, yeah.
This was good.
Yeah, but they're not like, I'm not like trying to burn through all their stuff anymore. Like I now get a flavor. I understand what they mean, and I understand how they apply to other places. I'm like, thank you. Okay, we're moving on. And so. And whatever. There's actually interesting to think about. There's people who listened to this program for the first 5 years, and then after that, they're like, blah, blah, blah. They keep saying the same crap, and I know what they're going to say, and so I went on to something else. I'm like, great, deepen it up, man. You probably, if you've got the hit, you've got the hit of it.
God uses for a season.
That's right. It's time to move on. All right, you're listening to Live from the Path. Thanks for hanging out with us so far this evening. The only thing, other thing that'll bring up, maybe then we'll do some advice. I just with there's some the stuff going on in the country, and this probably doesn't have to be specific to like all of the current events. This is probably true at any event in time. But as you look around of things going on in the news, we've got political contention over, again, immigration policies. You've got altercations between American citizens and immigration officials, and violence and threats of violence, and like people's I don't in the invading of other countries, the threat to invade other countries. There's a lot going on around here, and like my reminder to you. Regardless of whichever political persuasion hits you at any given day, or maybe you think you have a healthy mix, is that you are a follower of Jesus first and foremost. And so I just want you, like if you find that you open up the news, and I'm a guy who opens up the news, is that like if you're not in the habit of praying before you start taking things in, maybe you should start. For heaven's sakes, before you start giving your opinion to someone else, I want you to pray about it. And I want you to make sure you're talking about people in a healthy way that reflects that they are in the image and likeness of Jesus, that you weep with those who weep, that you recognize justice is a valid thing, and that the people of Jesus do care about that. We care about the truth. And like, here's the thing. My listing of those things, depending on what you already think about the world, has caused things to pop up. You're like, oh, no, he's getting at me about this. And then I said the truth mattered. And then you're like, oh, crap, I kind of believe that too. And actually, I think that's what the problem is. This is what I'm saying. It will, if any of those things are hitting you and something popped into your mind, the one is I'm trying to digest all these things, and I think it's very difficult, and I think sorting out news is hard, and I think people are shading all kinds of things in all kinds of places and everything. There's a lot of gray stuff going on, and I'm probably very frustrating to people around me because they're like, can you tell me your opinion? And my gut reaction is to go, I bet this is a pretty gray situation, actually. I bet things are harder for every individual person involved. I bet no humans believed that the moment was going to be what the moment was, whether you're in Minnesota or Venezuela. I just don't think that, like, I don't care if you're a dictator. You get picked up with next to your wife and you've got kids. Like, there's something in there that's a human thing in addition to being all kinds of other things. And so I'm just saying that, like, just be careful. I want you to be prayerful. And, like, if you don't pick up the newspaper before you pick up your Bible, and frankly, if you can't handle picking up the newspaper, you should stop. Same thing with your social media feed. And for heaven's sakes, just pray that you're getting God's eyes before and heart on the world around you, mercy before you start opening your mouth. And so that's been, maybe I should just say that once a quarter or something as a fresh reminder of how you take in the world. All right.
Ready?
Yep.
Dear Life from the Path, my wife of 3 years has no respect for me. She calls me vulgar names in public and thinks it's funny. I have a bladder control problem, and she brings that up in public all the time. I am starting to resent it. I love my wife, but I don't like feeling this way. Please help or give me some advice. Starting to resent it. How long did that take, buddy?
Wow,
Hey,
that's just gone kind of mean.
Yeah, you got the patience of a saint. If one time,
Yeah.
if I tended to pee myself and my wife thought it was good comedy fodder out in the middle of public, I don't think it would take long to resent it. I think it would instantly be like, what the heck, woman?
Yeah.
Come on, that's like my most vulnerable, terrible thing I do, and you made comedy out of it in front of a bunch of people? What's wrong with you?
I thought it's okay. I laughed a little because that felt like it took a really sharp turn in Albuquerque. Yeah. Like my wife is mean to me. By the way, I've got bladder control issues. Like it just
What?
I didn't see it refined. So it's more of a surprise laugh. Sorry if you have bladder control issues. I actually find quite a bit that what occurs in when I'm talking with my wife or it more tends to be when you're addressing each other and kind of in a more passive way or something. And the next thing that comes out of my mouth is like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, what did I do something, or like, did you forget that I'm like your forever dude and we love each other? And like, I don't understand why that happened. And so let's get whatever maybe in the Bay Area out of the way, and then we can go sort out whatever the things. And she probably has every right to say, I probably also do that, where I've like been impatient for no reason or something. But like, I'm kind of hypersensitive to it, because the reality is that like, why are we talking to each other this way? Like, the notion of our marriage means like we're after the best here. And so this guy with a 3-year wife unloading on him out in public, mocking his whatever problems he has, like, you're in a rough spot, my man.
Yeah. They need to do some counseling to get to the root of this, more than what we can do for sure, but have a professional kind of weed some of that out. Like, what's going on? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to humiliate your man? And how do you move forward?
Yeah. Now, the things I have cautious about. He's provided no context, really. My wife calls me vulgar names and brings up that I have bladder control issues in public.
Yeah.
Okay. She sounds like a she-devil. I'm guessing there's probably more to this.
He could be doing some of the same things to her.
Yes. Yes. Like, I don't, like, if you...
My wife has the yeast infection. It's like, what?
Yikes, Dan. I resent that. One time.
Sorry, the guy who's in like the middle of the public square, just like proclaiming out. That's funny. Yeah, so like, I don't trust what we've gotten, simply because I've never had anybody tell me a story where they were not contributing, did not have some understanding that like, oh, by the way, her parents had an extremely unhealthy relationship. I probably didn't date her long enough, or I caught her on a rebound. We cheated on each other. Like, I don't know. There's definitely more here than what this man is saying. And so what I don't want to do is use off every bullet I have in her direction, only to find out after the casings are hot and steaming on the ground, her to go, oh, by the way, he kicks my dog or something. Like, we don't have enough info.
Yeah. What I'd like to know is how old is this man? And has he had an 8-year affair? And now his wife's getting revenge.
Yep.
Wait, but they've only been married 3 years. So, okay, that's not...
Bladder control, though, could be that age.
I mean, is it an age thing?
Yeah.
Is it a health? Is there I don't know what health things would lead to that.
Yeah.
It feels like you
why
have...
would you laugh?
It feels like there could be all kinds of stuff in here, right? But the truth of the matter is like, what you found to be fine and acceptable, you are maturing out of, and like, she just isn't maturing at the same rate you are. Where like when you first started dating or whatever, you called each other vulgar names, and you're like, ah, ha, ha. You know, kind of like a playground romance here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then as you matured a little bit, like, she's not growing at the same space you are, and like, you haven't said anything about it. And so, and then now you're just storing up hurts. And so, like, I think number one, you probably should go to counseling, but two, like, have you told her?
Yeah.
Like, have you even had that conversation with her? And like, what it's going to feel like is you're embarrassed, because either it used to be fine or it was never fine. And if it's never been fine and you've never said anything out about it, and now your feelings are hurt like a wuss, you're afraid your wife's going to think you're a wuss. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like, look, if you love her and she loves you, like, you got to tell her. You just got to tell her that this is how you're feeling, and be like, what do you think of that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and actually, one of the interesting things you have here is that as you it's not a, to Mike's point, I think it feels like kind of a wuss thing to do, to be like, I don't like when you call me names.
My feelings are hurt by you.
Yeah, but here's the deal. You're the one person that I gave permission and to expose the ability to hurt my feelings. That's it. That's what marriage was. It's like one person where you gave the armor of steel to the rest of the world. This is the person where you said, I'm agreeing to allow you to shape me. That's what your marriage should be doing, like, for both of you reciprocally. And so the reality is that, like, if this person is abusing that, you most definitely need to say something. And it's not a wuss thing to do. Don't say it like a wuss. Do it with every confidence. Hey, I don't appreciate the names that you're calling me. Like, I need you to build me up.
Yeah.
I don't need you. Like, it's not helping me to tear me down. And it makes me feel bad about myself. And like, but the risk is, frankly, that like, if you can't speak to me in a way that otherwise encourages me and builds me up and helps me to refine to be a better person, the only thing I can reasonably do is stop listening to you. Is like not allowing you to do that. And that would be a real shame for our marriage, because like, you have every chance to make me better. I believe in us. I believe in your, like, our ability. I'm presuming these things are true. You thought you had a good marriage. So like, I believe this is what's possible for us. And like, you sometimes just have to do that. And like, you don't pout about it, and like, don't stamp your feet or have a tantrum. But like, you can also go, look, I said, for better, for worse, I would be with this person, and I would give them the access to help refine me. But if between you and Jesus, that's not what this is, then you just get to go, I'm not going to let that hurt me. I'm not, and I still actually have to help guide my family, my young family, through this, and even help lead this woman on what it means for us to be engaging healthily. And so you got to try not to be so offended about it. It's hard because this is the person that's allowed to do that. But like, I think you have to be careful. I do think you have a responsibility to here go, I recognize that this is not healthy. I'm not going to allow that to change whatever I should know about what confidence I should have about myself between me and Jesus. And now I have to, it's okay for me to go, I don't, no. I reject that. It's not okay to talk to me that way. And I want you to tell me if you ever feel like I'm saying something that feels like I'm, discouraging you or like cutting you down, because like, it's not okay for me to do it either. You can still lead in that conversation. I think you should.
All right. Secular says, if I'm reading your letter correctly, then it seems like therapy is in your short-term and long-term future. If you're not having open conversations with your wife, you need to. If she refuses to meet you on the things that are going to build you up and not tear you down, you should consider other options.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a little bit of a tricky road. There's this lady on the Facebook movies who gives parenting advice. She's like a grandma now, but she gives parenting advice to people with toddlers. And like, we'll target at 5 and under. And here's the thing. This advice that she's giving is fantastic, and it applies to everybody in the world. Like, it applies to the teenagers. It applies to spouses. Don't treat your spouse like a 5-year-old. It's not what I mean. But like, humans are wired to do things that otherwise elicit influence or a reaction from you, right? So if your spouse can get you riled up by raising their voice, so you raise your voice, well, then that's what they wanted. Like, they were trying to impact you or hurt you or like get you jazzed up for some reason or another, and you accepted it. You took the bait. And the same thing is true for your kid. The story. I wish I could remember her name. I would give it to you. So you can.
It sounds like Karen Purvis. That's who it sounds like.
Who's Karen Purvis?
She has done a lot of curriculum for prospective adoptive parents.
No.
And she talks a lot like this.
Yeah, it's like one of the examples that she gave is that like it's a kid who doesn't go to sleep when they're supposed to, or a kid who's like throwing a tantrum. And like she was talking I saw a clip today, and she was like, you don't lecture your kid through they're trying to get your attention and you're giving it to them. I said she goes, you should just act bored. Act bored. Don't if it's about their needs, then fulfill their needs. If they're hungry, if they're tired, she's like, you should address those. But just don't otherwise pour gas on this tantrum. She goes, don't pick up your phone. That's rude. Like, you're not dismissive, but you're also like, act like you're waiting for a bus. And she goes, they'll figure out. It'll take a little bit. And I think in our minds, it's like, this is going to take 6 months. But she's like, it'll be very fast. Like a number of days, they'll figure out that like screaming and yelling at you just does not do anything. And they'll give it up. Because that's what, like, but the problem is by the time you married someone or you raised a teenager, I look at some of these teenager behavior, even my own, and I'm like, crap, we did this. I did this because I did too much moralizing with them when they were too young for it. I'm like, now you got to understand, this is the thing to do. And I'm giving them, they got all my attention when, like, I think that's right, actually, depending on the age. But, like, I don't know. Sometimes you just need no, I'm not going to talk you through this thing. You need to give it up. You're going to do it in that room, or you're going to, like, we're not going to disrupt the whole family dinner because you decided you were hosed off. Like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to, like, try to drag you or do, like, all this other stuff to show my dominance. I need you to know this doesn't particularly work, and you're not able to emotionally rile me up. I mean, they'll fire their mom up for sure. She gets personally offended. I did not raise you to do that. I'm like, yes, we did. Look at them. They're both doing it. We most certainly raised them to do it. We did not intend to raise them to do it. She hates that. This really makes her mad. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, if more than one kid is doing it, it feels like we raised a pattern. We did something wrong. But anyway, I say that to say is that, like, it's okay to think about that in your relationships, even your really close ones, is like, what behavior are you actually encouraging? Like, if your spouse, sometimes you just want to get the person riled up. You want people to know you're hurt, and you do it in unhealthy ways. And so you get a tattoo or get a bumper sticker for it, but, like, you just both can't be out of control at the same time. And so if your spouse is losing it on you, you just don't feed it. And, like, don't dismiss them. Don't be cruel. Don't, like, treat them like they're nothing, but just like, I'm not willing to be riled up by this. And so anyway, it sounds like you got a lot to work through, but that problem is blown up, but I think it happens in 1,000 small problems in every marriage. Mm-hmm. And just, like, be the grown up, be the person who goes, my marriage is important to me, and so I'm actually not going to allow this to harm me, but I'm not going to be cruel or dismissive about it. I'm just going to take it easy. And then whatever, hopefully my wife is able to do that when I lost my cool.
Actually, this is one of the major advantages of being in a marriage that's centered on Jesus too, is, like, you're not your marriage's Holy Spirit either. So, like, there are some things that obviously you need to talk out and be addressed, but sometimes people are just people and they're on the struggle. Yeah. Right. And so, like, you pray for them and you love them. And, like, if they're seeking Jesus, the Holy Spirit will help straighten some of this out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be the enforcer all the time of good, right, and wrong. Like, sometimes you can just be the person that goes, I hear everything that you're saying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Christ-centered marriage is definitely the ticket.
Think of Mary Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. After her husband, like, knocks all the crap over and yells at the kids and overreacts and puts all this business, and then he storms out of the house, and what does she do? Lord, be with my husband, George Bailey. Yeah. And then goes and goes out and serves him and solves the problem. She didn't think, like, what a butthead. Yeah. She's like, my husband's obviously the man is torn up. I love this man. She had every right to be pissed. Instead, she, like, looks at him and goes, obviously, this man that I care about is very much struggling.
There's something wrong. There's something going on with him right now.
Yeah. And get after it that way as opposed to, like, you know what, but I'm also mad. Lord, bring me vindication. Okay.
All right, last one. Here we go. Dear Life from the Path, my ex-girlfriend just can't get a clue. She continues trying to get me back and even goes so far as to stalk me. I blocked her phone number, but it has become exhausting. How do I tell her I don't love her anymore and I really no longer even like her? I can't stand her, her family, or her friends. She gaslit me for years. Our entire relationship was built on a lie. I'm so much happier without her in my life, but she just won't go away. Any advice on how to deal with this crazy person would be great.
I mean, have you tried the phrase, I don't love you and I don't really like you anymore?
Yeah.
Or your family or friends.
Seems like it's not taken.
I guess I would have liked to understand, like, when you said after you blocked her number, what else is happening? Yeah. Is she, like, showing up at your place?
Yeah, this feels like a practicality problem more than it seems like a situation. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I can't say I got a string of crazy exes behind me to know exactly what to do in these situations.
I feel for this guy.
Sure. You know, but, like, once again, I feel like you're getting half the story. Like, people, I don't know. People just don't act like this on a whim sometimes. So, like, I think there's a little more going on. But, like, after you block the phone calls, right, and if she's physically showing up, like, get a restraining order against her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, pick the thing. Like, are you trying to solve this in a way opposed to the avenues that are already available. Like if she's dangerous or actually crazy, where she's not in her capacity and there's a threat of violence, harm, whatever, right? Like just get a restraining order on her. You're like, I don't think it's all that. Well, then then just let it go then. If like there's an option, because like obviously if you could talk your way out of it, it'll worked already. If you could have said the thing or set up the boundaries that she just blows right past them, then like use the laws that we have in this country and go, look, I'm going to put a restraining order against you. I don't want to see this happen to you, but I need you to go away, And so like if talking's not working and you like in all honesty are trying to do good things and you're not just being Johnny Drama here, then like use the avenues that are available.
Yeah, actually, that my first inclination is this guy likes drama. He's a real drama fest, and you notice this. Just listen to people. Look for people who work in fast food restaurants, people who are in recovery houses. There's like 3 or 4 other key scenarios where you're like, these are real drama fests. And like I'm just listening to various people tell stories that are in these things, and they're like, and so did blah blah blah. I'm like, why do you even care about that at all? Why are you even thinking 2 things about that? Well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, again, that didn't add any context. That just told me you are actually still caring about, like, what do you care what they think? Stop caring. You need to let this go. And so, like, if this is a guy who's like, she just won't leave me alone, and then you go checking out her Instagram feed, and you're calling your sister to see if she called, and like, okay, like, then I think he's a drama man. That's my guess. My guess is he's invested in it.
And it does, like, once again, like I have like 10 more questions. Like, are you still like sharing the same friend group on social media? Are you sharing like the same friends where they're like, so-and-so was here and they were talking about you? Do you still go to the same bowling alley on Tuesdays or the things you used to do? Like if your life was that entwined and you haven't cut that off completely for the sake of sanity, then some of that is on you too, right? Like they're like, I shouldn't have to give up all my friends. Here's the thing, man, you got together with a gal and I'm sure you made promises you didn't mean and she did too. And then you acted like y'all was married. And they're like, this is what happens when you say you're going to start a life together and then you decide to bail on it. And so like, it's going to be a little gross. That doesn't really excuse her behavior. Like you're saying, if you've been upfront and honest and straightforward and not just been playing text messenger phone tag with people, but overall, like there's more options than you're giving, and you're not choosing the options that will definitely solve your problem.
Yeah, I'm a little, if he would have said those very clear things, you feel like he would have described it that way. How do I tell her this? Tell her that.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, he did ask specifically, how do I tell her I don't love her anymore and really no longer even like her? If you've stopped short of saying that, then this is on you.
Yeah, this is your problem, man.
She still thinks the door's slightly open, and you must be one heck of a catch, my friend.
Yeah, or the pool is real shallow. Like there's only 2 goldfish in the sea. And the other guy's, by the Russian bride.
I've known way too many people in my life that are like, yeah, they blocked me, so I called them from a different number. Like, what? Hey, man, this is the effective door shut. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're at their house and they say, get out, and then they shut the door, and you're like, I'll go in the window. You know what I'm saying? Like, what a bold move. Like, to get the hint, bro.
Actually, that is the problem, though, is that, like, people do that kind of stuff without actually saying the thing. They're just like, I'm blocking you. I'm like, okay, I mean, how do I, like, is this like, hey, I need you to cool off, or like we're done forever? Okay, yeah. I'll tell you the 2-second story. Well, 2-minute story. So someone blocked me on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, I've only been ever blocked by like one person in my life, and it was this person blocks me on LinkedIn. And it's because they were right to be mad at me. I had, I got some information about like people moving between companies and stuff. And like, it felt rumorish to me, but there were like enough people that it felt like it was going to impact our business in such a way that like, hey, there might be 6 to 10 people who are like thinking about going somewhere. And so I shared this information with some other folks to try to like, I thought, well, maybe we need to be a little bit more aggressive on some pay bumps and some, stuff like this. It was the first time I'd ever been privy to information at like kind of a higher level within a company about those kinds of things going on. And in retrospect, I should have protected it much better. I should have been thoughtful about how it might come back on someone who shared something with me. And maybe they shouldn't have shared it with anybody, but I certainly should have been trustworthy with it. And so it ended up feeling like gossip, even though that wasn't my intention. And they had told me something, I think with a level of thinking that I would keep it in trust, and I didn't do that. And so in retrospect, I think they had every right to be mad at me, and I didn't handle it how I should have. But the only way I found out that it caused them harm is like I just got a message and it just said blocked. Like what the heck happened? And like by the time I figured out what had happened, I thought, oh crap, I owe them an apology. And I didn't have a way to give it. Like I didn't
jump on Instagram.
It was it was a work connection, right? So it's not like I don't have a home address or anything like that. And I thought, and like that sat with me for the longest time because I thought like I can't repair the thing, but I owe them an apology. But maybe some of it felt self-serving. Like I want to be able to say I'm sorry. It will relieve me of some sort of guilt or something. But there's probably some element of that to it. But I felt like I owed it to them. And it took me a few years. It took until last year where I figured out that actually I could still message them on LinkedIn, and they probably wouldn't see it because I'm not like it's like if someone tries to message you on Facebook, but you're not friends, it goes in a bucket. It's probably in there, and they probably won't ever see it. But I did end up messaging them, and I apologized and said I'm sorry. Like I shouldn't have. I didn't handle this well. But the crappy thing is that like they at least deserved an apology from me. I owed it to them. And I didn't even understand what the nature of the situation was until it took me like months to figure out what had actually happened to even get. And if they'd just said, look, man, I told you something in trust and you abused it and I don't want to talk to you anymore, at least I would have known what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
You know? And so to that point, like I just have heard a lot of people were like, well, they blocked me. I'm like, well, why? And is it a permanent? Well, I don't know. They were just mad. And so it's like the hanging up of the phone, except for like, just don't look at your messages from them or something, as opposed to this blocking situation. You don't know what you're reacting to. Bring back the non-block. Say the thing.
I think I've blocked people before, and I can probably think of maybe 5 times where I've told them why, and maybe a couple where I'm like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like the answer is just no. Like the it's crazy ex-girlfriend. Like I just got my car and left, and that's all. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like there's no more conversation to be had. I said my piece. Over the last months, that's it. We're done.
But so the only difference would be is that like if you left the next time they tried to call or something, don't you feel like it's incumbent to go, look, this is it? Unless you said it as you were driving away. Because if you just drove away, it could be like, oh, I don't know, maybe they're just mad at me.
Yeah, I suppose.
They're going to calm down.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people lose their decorum when they're fired up. You know?
For sure.
Maybe.
Okay, let's. Secular says, continue to avoid your ex, and if you see her, do not acknowledge her. If she approaches you, tell her you are done and to leave you alone. Do not respond to her calls, emails, or texts. And if she mails you anything, write return to sender on the package or envelope. Well, that's some modern day spite right there, firing you over a snail mail. Says, tell your friends that she is stalking you and her behavior is creepy, and then continue dating and resume your social life. If she acts out or damages your property, report her to the authorities. The most effective way to get rid of her is to resume the life you had before you met her and don't look back. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think to a certain extent, Ben's right. Like, if you haven't said the things, you should say all the things.
Yeah, definitely.
And then after that, like, at least let the cards shake out and say, look, I said all the things. The next move is yours, but like we're done. And then you can start making decisions from there.
Yeah, kind of like that other conversation we're having. I don't think you have to say it 50 times. I think, but you should be clear once, and then you could just start ignoring things. And I think
this is really over. This is done.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you're listening to Live from the Path. I appreciate you hanging out with us this evening. And I think we're out next week. I think there's other things going on. And so we'll probably have a reprise for the next show, but after that, maybe we'll be in for a few. In the meantime, be faithful to the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.
Tremors in the hills, the lion roars loud, echoes